Do you want a deck that's looking to evolve above the competition? Or how about strategies that are just +1 above the rest? Or have you just been corrupted by the progress engine of a great evil and now seek greater perfection? Through whatever means, the Simic commanders offer many different means to achieve victory. And here I list my top 5 favourite Simic commanders. For this list and the other top 5s that will follow, I'll be using my own personal criteria. These are, in no particular order, the card's converted mana cost. Your commander could be the best thing ever rolled out by R&D, but if it costs half the world to play, it's not going to impress very often. Take Zakama for instance, a fantastically powerful commander. However, if she's removed once or twice, it's unlikely she's ever going to be cast again. How widely the card is used. Now I know popularity doesn't equal power, but there is something to be said for the hive mind of commander players. People don't build some 800 decks out of a terrible card now. My own personal sort levels regarding a card. Now this point is unashamedly bias, but I just can't bring myself to be hyped about a card that hasn't, at the very least, spent 2 minutes ruining my night by hitting me in the face or infinite comboing me out. A card's reputation. Walk into any room of commander players and just mention the likes of Atraxa, Prosh or Merrin. That's just to name a few, and everyone will have a story of how they got destroyed and how this card should totally be banned as it makes this deck ridiculous. That is the feeling that I'm going for with this point. And finally, how well the card actually performs. Stormcrow has a strong reputation and a small mana cost for Urza's sake. The card, at the end of the day, still needs to do something to get on this list. And now, on to the list of my personal 5 top Simic commanders. But first, some honourable mentions. Now, this is going to draw some immediate dislike, but there will be no inclusion of a particular mana ramping prophet and one combo-laden fishman. The reason why Thrasios and Kaidel will not be included in this list, despite their absolutely amazing, bonkers, fantastic nature, is the fact that they have a tendency to be included in decks partnered with the likes of Timna the Weaver, Vile Smasher the Fierce, or Krum, Ludwig's Opus. This of course then changes the deck's colour identity, as well as gives the deck access to other cards and strategies. But Alex, why not use them together? Well, that's why they're getting an honourable mention, friendo. Still, no partner commanders. Now, on with the top picks. At number 5, Tatiova, Benthic Druid. A 3 generic mana 1 green and 1 blue for a 3/3 legendary creature merfolk druid with, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life and draw a card. The reason why Tatiova just about clinches the number 5 spot is because of her versatility and apparent unthreateningness. A 5 mana 3/3 isn't going to be turning any heads in terms of raw power, and that is normally enough to fly under the radar, and for that path to exile your opponent is holding up to be kept up for the Atraxa, Garruk Teague or Merrin at the table. Drawing extra cards and gaining life are always great things. Tatiova also has the added benefit of turning cards like Cultivate, Kodama's Reach and Explosive Vegetation into draw spells in green. Or even just play a fetch land and sacrifice it. That's 2 additional life and 2 cards that turn. Tatiova is most commonly used to lead a tribal merfolk build, which is always a very solid tribe in my humble opinion. But the advantage of additional draws can help keep putting the pressure on your opponents. And yes, I am aware Kumena draws cards too, but honestly tapping my creatures to do so when I could instead just play my land for turn seems like the worst trade-off deal in the history of trade-off deals, maybe ever. And that's why our druid punches out Kumena for the number 5 spot on my list. Number 4, Azuri Claw of Progress is 2 generic mana, 1 blue and 1 green for a 3/3 elf warrior with. Whenever a creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, you get an experience counter. And, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put X +1/+1 counters on another target creature you control, where X is the number of experience counters you have. Uzuri is playing small and going big, building up over time to inevitably turn your 2/2s into giants every single one of your combat steps. Partnering Uzuri with mass token producers and +1/+1 counter synergies helps to tune this deck up and help end the game quickly. And cards that produce tokens and work off +1/+1 counters are insane value in this deck. Michaeloth, Avenger of Zendikar, and Hangerback Walker, to name a few, are what put this deck at number 4. Powerful abilities, buffing up small creatures with great enter the battlefield triggers is always strong. This is all, of course, skirting around the obvious combo Uzuri has with Sage of Hours. Put counters on the Sage at the beginning of combat. Remove them per the Sage's ability, take an extra turn. Wash, rinse, repeat, and uninterrupted this cycle creates infinite turns. And honestly, if you can't win the game with infinite turns, we really need to discuss how you're playing Magic the Gathering. Overall, Uzuri is a very powerful commander that can turn small value creatures into big threats. And when coupled with solid synergy cards like Hardened Scales or Chasm Skulker, becomes a well-tuned threat not to be messed with, and well worth an inclusion slot on this list. At number 3, do you want to cast spells for free just for playing your deck? Or failing that, drawing cards? Then do we have the commander for you. Rashmi Eternity's Crafter is 2 generic mana, 1 green and 1 blue for a 2/3 elf druid with. Whenever you cast your first spell each turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card with converter mana cost less than that spell's, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you don't cast the revealed card, put it into your hand. We're switching gears entirely from Uzuri. We're going to be playing big creatures to pseudo cascade for immense value. Playing large costing high value creatures like Moldrifter, Tishana, Voice of Thunder, or Consecrated Sphinx to cascade into more card advantage. Cards like Brainstorm, Sensei's Divining Top, and Future Sight all help fix the top card of our library, and precisely plan turns for when to really go off and trigger some great plays. One of the great things about this deck is that with the addition of instant speed shenanigans in the form of Yiva, Nature's Herald, Vidalcan Ori, or Alchemist's Refuge, you can get triggers every turn. As Rashmi's ability is, your first spell each turn, not just your own. Immense value with each rotation of the table seems very good in my opinion. Overall, the free card draw and, more likely than not, free cascades just about help Rashmi punch out Uzuri for the number 3 spot. It's getting very close now, so without further ado, my numero dos spot goes to Mormir Vig, Simic Visionary. For 3 generic mana, 1 green and 1 blue, you get a 2/2 elf wizard with. Whenever you cast a green creature spell, you may search your library for a creature card and reveal it. If you do, shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. And whenever you cast a blue creature spell, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put that card into your hand. Toolbox, answers, silver bullets, combos, and cards for every occasion. Mormir Vig has them all. Tutoring cards in Commander is widely considered one of the most powerful things to do, and having that ability on your Commander is even better. Just go ask General Tazri. The reason why Mormir solidly clinches the number 2 spot is because of how his abilities interact with blue and green creatures. Let's say you cast Kyora's Follower, a Simic bear with a good ramp or combat trick ability. The follower will trigger both of Mormir's abilities simultaneously, allowing you to tutor a creature card put it on top of your library, and then put it into your hand. Abusing this ability is far too easy. Any card with blue and green in the mana cost, cards like River Hoope, Coiling Oracle or Merc Fiend Liege are now tutors. Tutors to get any solution to any situation. Too many artifacts cluttering the board? One bane of progress it is. Someone's going off with graveyard shenanigans? One ooze to soothe that burden. Or if you just want to end the game quickly because it's already 1 o'clock and you have work in the morning, one Crater Hoof boy to get you home in time for a solid 6 hours. Throw in some great pieces of value such as Panharmonicon and Sensei's Divining Top, and Mormir Vig just becomes one of those commanders that if left too long, can take over any game. Because unlike other decks, Mormir has the ability to get its answers anytime it wants. It is a truly beautiful deck, so consistent and so good. And the winner, the best Simic commander in my opinion, is, of course, Stalling Tactic, the brand spanking new Peer and Toothy partner commanders. Now I know I said no partner commanders, but I just have to make an exception for these two. The synergy, the flavor, the mana cost, the way they interact with each other. I'm sorry, I couldn't say that with a straight face. It's Edric. My number one pick is, of course, Edric, Spy Master of Trest. He is, for 1 generic mana, 1 blue and 1 green, a 2/2 elf rogue with. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may draw a card. For one simple line of text, this ability comes with a lot of different upsides. Firstly, he acts as a pseudo pillow fort or group hug kind of effect, incentivizing other players to attack each other for the card draw, leaving you alone and giving you valuable turns to set up your board. Full disclosure, I knew from the get-go I was going to put Edric in my top 3 just from seeing him in play, his high value draw effect and group hug effect. What really propelled him into my top spot were the deck lists I saw him in. That was when I realised how abusable and powerful his ability really is. Unblockable 1 and 2 drops just running all over the place. I've never seen so much flying in a deck since Asperia. Slither Blade, Gudol Lurker, Mist-Cloaked Herald, Zephyr, Sprite, Scribe Sprites, Flying Men, I could go on. All the cheap, unblockable or evasive creatures combined with drawing cards whenever they deal damage nets all of the value and lets whatever engine you want keep going. Now, all the chip damage in the world combined with other players hitting each other for card draw might get some life totals pretty low, but the deck can't win like this. But giving all of your unblockable creatures infect with Triumph of the Hordes certainly will. Or, if that's too uncivilized, most decks do run cards like Craterhoof Behemoth or Overrun to end the games, and some occasional friendships. The beautiful simplicity and yet brutalness of this commander is what firmly sets up Edric, Spy Master of Trest as my personal top pick for best Simic commander. Now, I want to know what you guys think. Are there any green-blue commanders that I have left out that you thought deserved to be on the list? If so, let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to tell me why you think they should be included. And while you're there, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe if you want to see more. And follow us on Twitter at @4commander. And as always, we'll see you next time.